And one.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to This and That. I'm your host, Angie, and Marcel is my co host. And we just want to welcome you here tonight to hang out with us. And we're going to see, we're going to have some interesting topics to talk about to see where God leads us. And so we were just talking earlier, actually, before we started. One of the topics that Marcel actually was going to have brought up, and which I didn't really know about, is about taking a trip to the moon and Mars. If anybody know about that.
So, you know,
I don't know anything about it. So yeah, tell us.
okay, so, you know, um, there's been this big push in the last, really, it's been like in the last 10 years. It's more like undercover, but now it's more open now. There's like this race to get commercialized flights to outer space. And that just means, like, you know, how you take a flight now from Detroit to Las Vegas, something like that. They're trying to get it so that you could just take a flight to the moon, just casually, So you had Virgin Galactic for the last couple of years working on stuff. They're kind of like in last place now, but they was kind of forerunners. Virgin, they're like that huge company. They own like the Virgin Records, Virgin Mobile,
Oh,
that
okay.
company. Billionaire Richard Branson, interesting guy. He's like 70, jumping out of planes and stuff. So he's already kind of out there. You know, so um, so his company was kind of getting into it. Then of course you got SpaceX, which is um, owned by CEO Elon Musk, who also owns Tesla, another billionaire, of course. So he's getting defense contracts now, and so he has a lot of defense contracts. And actually, now a lot of times where they go up to that meet the astronauts at the International Space Station, that's actually his rockets going up there now, and so his personal rockets. And so last year or early this year was the first time we had the privatize company go into outer space and have an official launch. So it's like they're pushing this thing about going into outer space. And then the other one is Amazon.
Why? Why? Who will come up with an idea like that to go to outer space? It's like a trip,
Yeah, just
like a
like a
family
trip.
trip. Let's get together and go to the moon or go to Mars.
I guess we haven't, discovered enough here on Earth, so we got to go mess with the moon and with Mars. And so the other person is Jeff Bezos, of course, Amazon founder, Amazon.com, billionaire, uh, and his company Blue Origin. And so last week, I think they actually sent up one of the rockets. And the rockets have been failing lately. They're kind of like they're not good in that space. They've been failing a lot. And so what came to my mind was Elon Musk from Tesla, who also owns SpaceX. He said, the first couple of hundred people that go up there are probably going to die. Like he tweeted that out just all casually. Like he really said that. Like it was just casual. Now he's also like an eccentric type of person anyway. I mean, he's hosting Saturday Night Live tomorrow, so he's already kind of like eccentric. But he was just put out there. You're probably going to die. If you go with the first couple of people.
Wow, why would we go? Why we like who would
Well,
go?
I mean, I like it because he was straight up about it. You probably gonna
But why
die.
would you not people to go though? If you know 100 people might die, there's a clearly 50-50 chance that somebody that 100 people will die, but yet they're still trying to get people to go.
Well, they're looking at it like this. They want the first, brave souls to go up there because there's people already lined up. They waiting on it. They want to go, and so to try it out, test it out.
It's so crazy.
And so my thing is, Angie, my question to you, would you consider landing on the moon and just for a
Oh,
trip?
I don't know what's on the moon. I don't know what's on the moon. I don't know what's on Mars. I don't know.
I don't think there's
I
anything
think
on
that
there.
were they even thoroughly like have they even examined the whole moon and the whole Mars to know exactly what's on there, and what's up there, and what's going on? I've seen too many space movies where like aliens stuff like that. I don't care. No, I don't care. Let everybody else go.
You know what? The moon is a bit much for me. If they said, and I'm thinking like maybe 10, 15 years, if they like get this thing down, a couple of other people do it first, I would go up there to like the International Space Station because I see people go up there all the time, astronauts and whatnot, but or maybe if they just broke the barrier of like the atmosphere, like if it just went up and then just came back down. You know what I mean? Like I'm not floating out there in space. Just not I'm not floating. I'm just there, and I come back down. That's appealing to me. I'm
Well,
not
I would
trying.
say the floating part is appealing to me. Like I wouldn't mind experiencing the floating.
Hmm.
You know how you can float
Yeah.
and there's no gravity. I would love to experience that, but I want to experience that here on Earth. I want to go. I have to go to Mars or to the moon to experience that. That's just too unknown for me.
Well, they actually
That's
do
way
have
too
the
unknown.
they actually do have the space center where you can actually go and do
Yeah.
the gravity list thing. That's one of
I don't know.
my checklist things.
Moon or Mars. Mm,
That's one of my checklists. I want to do that. I think it's in Texas. I have to double check that. I actually want to do that. Visit there, but it just came to my mind because it's a huge push. And then last year everybody laughed at uh, former President Trump because he established the Space Force, and it's an actual division of the United States military. And so now we have the Air Force and the Space Force, right?
what's the wait? What? What's the Space Force for?
And that's the weird thing because I'm not really sure what the Space Force is for. All I know is that they recruit from the Air Force, and then like certain number of people go to the Space Force. And so I think ultimately what their thing is, they're gonna uh, fight against threats that can happen through satellites and things like that. And
Oh,
it's not a completely new concept. Ronald Reagan had his Star Wars, which he unfortunately named it Star Wars, like because he watched the movie. That probably wasn't the best thing to do, but uh, you know, it leads you to believe because we have these biblical prophecies about warring in the heavenlies, and it just kind of gets your mind to thinking like, what is this whole thing about? So we got a comment on Facebook says, "I'm already here. It's kind of nice on the moon. A lot of space and very quiet." That came through our new covenant of peace. So I'm assuming that's Bishop. I think I would want to go to the moon. I do. Uh,
well,
now,
well, that's good. You go to the moon. You let me know.
now, 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 Mars. That's something completely different because they have nothing figured out on Mars. You know, they keep sending these little robots up there. They say, I don't know, and roving around. I don't know. I don't know about none of this stuff. I'm not like one of those people that really actively, follow space and anything like that. So I am in no way no expert. I'm not one of those NASA nerds. And when I say NASA nerds, I'm just talking about the sub group of people who follow NASA. And I don't
Yeah.
mean it in a derogatory way. But so I don't know. But I don't know. Andy, you got to go to the moon. I mean, Mars at least once, right? It's red.
Mhm. I
It's
keep thinking
red.
of this movie called Red Planet, and I
Uh,
can't remember exactly what it's about, but I don't think it was good.
yeah. You
I
see,
don't think. I don't mean the movie itself was good. I mean, I don't think what happened in the movie was good for the people.
but
A lot of things that happen in space is not. It's not good.
and see, those movies, they mess with your mind because they're like, they keep telling you that space is bad, but then they want you to go to space. So,
Yeah.
so it's weird, but I don't know. That was just something that crossed my mind. So, if you have
It's
any
like
thoughts,
even like on TV, the movies, like they get their stories or their theories from somewhere. There's a little truth behind
every
some of
every
the some of the stuff.
everything that in science fiction they eventually bring to the real world somehow. Like the old Star Trek, they used to have iPads back in the '70s before they called them iPads. And then it became real life. And And so now it's like we're living in this time where everything's coming real life. Like I watched those old movies like Blade Runner. You got these people with these messed up futures where everything's bleak and dark and messed up, and they pan with, these digital currencies, and now we got cryptocurrencies, and it's just so weird, right? So I don't know. That was just my thing. But yes, if I could go take on one of those space rockets up there, definitely count me in. After the first 200 or 300 people, test it out, go up in flames or whatnot.
First
But
2,000, first 2,000 people, and
yeah, yeah,
all of
yeah.
them come back, and no accidents, no nothing.
Let them.
I might like even think about it.
And just to add to that, they actually landed an actual like spaceship. Like Elon Musk built the spaceship. It actually landed perfectly last 2 days ago. Like they normally it would crash and blow up, but now it actually landed perfectly back down. Vertically. Like,
That's the first one.
the first one to do it. No people was on it. I don't think, but I don't know. So anyway, like, comment, share. Tell me your thoughts. How do you feel about it? Are you going into outer space? Are you already on outer space? We already got one person who's watching that's already there. And so,
That's not something to say.
so anyway, Angie, it's a lot going on in the world today, and so a lot of stuff is heavy. I just wanted to bring something silly, kind of fun today to the table, and so that was just kind of like a fun thing because the last couple of weeks been tough, because we had this whole Derek Chauvin trial and the murder of George Floyd, on our off weekend. And so he's found guilty of all charges, right? And then, you think this is like a victory, like for racial healing in America. Some people are saying, what did he do? Not even, 2 days later, this lawyer, says, hey, we're going to file an appeal. Because the jury might have been biased. Now, really, in all truth, I don't know how the juries could not be biased because the whole world watched the person die on camera. And so, I mean, I don't really know how you could not be biased against that. But, it's like, oh, well, we got this one juror who's on all the talk shows opening up his mouth. And of course, we get that type of exposure. People will find stuff on you. So they found them in T-shirts of at Black Lives Matter. They found them in pictures of the protest that happened last summer. And so they're like, oh, now we can use this to say this person already had a bias, a prejudice against Derek Chauvin because he was already protesting and marching and everything. So, of course, he was prejudiced. So the whole jury could have been tainted. And so my whole thing is for you, Angie, where are we now in America in your thoughts and where you see us going? And I know it's a big question, but I mean, like, where do you see us going with this whole thing about race and social justice and equity? All these conversations that are happening now. What do you think we are in that?
I think it's by winning this by the jury finding him guilty and him being a white cop and possibly racist, and he took this guy's life. I think this is starting to get to the point where it's showing this is not okay. Like back in the day, they were able to get away. Racist people who were racist were able to get away with killing black people or doing injustice to black people, and it was okay. Nobody cared. You know what I'm saying? And now today it's like more of saying like, okay, it's like no, this is not allowed. This is not going to be allowed moving forward. We're not going to allow this anymore. And I think, and I hope they will get to the point to where that type of stuff won't stand. If you're going after a race, any race, because the color they are, you're going to mistreat them, and you're supposed to be a police officer. In this situation, I'm using a police officer, and you're supposed to be somebody everybody's supposed to be able to trust and call to help them and protect them. Then that cannot be accepted anymore. Any no matter what race you are, you should be able to call the cop and know they're going to protect you, and it be neutral and just come and do their job, and that's it. Not, oh well, you black, so like they don't really take it. Like in my nephew's case, when they had that accident, perfect. Oh no, that's not a good example. Actually, that's not a good example. But I hope we're moving into the times where racist injustice is not upheld, and it's being dismantled, and then people are being held accountable when they do things like that. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay. It looks like it's going that way. I hope it end up going that way, but I don't know.
And just a quick note on this Derek Chauvin guy. I was gonna call him Mr. Chauvin. I don't know if I want to call him Mr. You know, but just a note. So there's a civil suit that just came out against him. So apparently, back in 2017, and he's been indicted for this. He held down a 14-year-old boy by the throat and hit him with a flashlight. And so this is coming out now. And so I guess he has a history of doing stuff.
And see, to me, though, I have to ask this question. So other police officers who've seen this, right? And then I don't know, they have like, I guess, the police code where you don't turn on each other, you don't tell on each other, you don't report each other.
Yeah, blue code.
Like,
yeah.
That's like what it is. You should. There should not be any type of police code, except for the one code is to protect the people and get justice done. Fair justice. Fair justice, no matter color or the station in life the person is in. Fair justice. Even if the criminals have money, or their family have money, they should still be held accountable. Whatever punishment the person who don't have money gets, that wealthy person should get the same punishment. There should be no slap on the wrist. I'm a firm believer in the punishment fitting the crime. You don't make an example out of nobody, make it extra harsh than what you normally would. The punishment should definitely fit the crime. But again, if a criminal act is done, you need to be held accountable. Rich or poor, no matter what color your skin is, you should get. You should have justice. You should have a right to justice, a right to be protected, and a right to know that even if you're racist, I should be able. I should be able to trust you in my life. Even if you don't like me, you should be able to just arrest me and not, do any harm to me in the midst of the arrest. And that's just point. That's black. That's just so black and white to me. That's so black and white to me. So I think our system needs to be held accountable too. But look at the system and change things in the system, because if the cops are doing criminal acts, they need to be. Stop giving them a slap on the wrist and we got to put a record first. No, some things should not be tolerable, and that should not be tolerated. And that's one thing that should not be tolerated. As soon as he did it to that 14-year-old kid, he should have been fired. Why is he still a police officer if that happened?
And it brings up a lot of questions about, ethics and standards. Because again, like you said, there's like this code of honor, right? But how is that really honorable? Because that really sullies you if you turn a blind eye to it. What did that say to you? And so, in this whole conversation, we're getting into defunding police, restructuring police, and all kinds of reforms and stuff. And the thing that bothers me about this whole conversation, that they go out and they find people who have no experience working with community, working with police, working with different community groups and organizations to try to better their community. They go find like either someone who's fresh out of college and they're like, oh yeah, what we gotta do is just be pro-black and put on shea butter and chant, and then you got the other ones who are extreme, who are like, we hate everything that involves law enforcement and shut law enforcement down, and we protect ourselves. And so I think that there needs to be a real strong national dialogue from all walks to say, how do we fix this? How do we address this on the precinct levels, like in every city, because that's where it needs to start. I think all of it is very much systematic. Racism, I don't know if you could ever really end racism, because how do you measure that? That's an ideology, that's a way of thinking. I don't know if you can really say that we end in racism in America. They say we're in post-racial America, but every day we prove that we're not in post-racial America. So that is out the window for me. I'm not trying to end racism because I don't think it is a really end to it. Because as long as there's
No,
people on
it would
Earth,
take God changing the heart of every single person that is
right,
racist
right,
for racist to end. But you want to be racist, fine, be racist. But mistreating people because the color of their skin, that they should be held accountable for that.
absolutely.
Like that should not be. You want to be racist, but no, you can't talk to anybody any kind of way. You can't treat anybody any kind of way. You can't do physical harm to anybody kind of way because you feel like they're less than because of the color of their skin. So you want to be racist, fine, but be racist with respect.
What do you so what do you think what what level the playing field, so to speak, for black people, if anything? Can anything level the playing field for us? Because it seems like we're always brought at the conversation, but we're always getting left behind in some way. You know what I mean? So
I don't know.
because I think what it's going to take is I'm thinking it's going to take um, level-headed people like me and you who uh, are exposed to different things at life to really take up a lot like political positions. You know, everything from local to your top positions, and really fill it with African American thought. Because here's the thing, um, we kind of assume as black people that everybody's taught a lot of times that what we're taught. I was with a group of people recently, and they had a conversation about their history, what they was taught in public school system, and they got into an argument, not a friendly argument, like a debate, like well, I was taught about Harriet Tubman, Sojourner Truth, and the person said, well, that's the usual suspect. And
Yeah.
they said, well, what about Cinco de Mayo? What is that about? And so the person explained, said, we never learned that in school, but there's this idea in our community that everybody else is supposed to learn our history and know what we went through, what we suffered through, but we forget that everybody else has their own history, and so they see things through their own filter. So I remember being in college, my first year, and I literally remember like being taken aback that people didn't really like understand Martin Luther King Day because they came from communities where the entire city never celebrated. Like we take a day off, people go out and serve. These people, they wasn't racist. They just literally came from a community where there wasn't a lot of black people, and their school district was like, oh, MLK, that's like Columbus Day for the rest of us. We don't celebrate that. It's just another day. And so I think really our thought, our black experience needs to be, uh, inundated inside all facets of, state, local, and federal government. We had this conversation a couple of days ago on Love Talk Live, where we found out that like out of the whole history of the United States, we only had like 11 black senators out of total history.
Wow.
And so there's not a lot of us influencing thought, influencing policy. There's a lot of us with megaphones, and there's a lot of us, behind pulpits. There's a lot of us, postulating, but there's not a whole lot of us making the changes where they need to be. And so that's just what my thought is. See, it looked like we might have a comment. It says Chief Craig, Chief of Police here in Detroit, is going to announce his retirement. Rumor has it that he's planning to run for governor. What do you think? That's interesting. I think it's timely because I think he has a great chance of winning the governor if he does run for governor. Because he got two things running for him. One, half the state hates Governor Gretchen Whitmer at this moment because she made us wear masks and she made us social distant, and they want us.
Heaven forbid if she wanted to protect us.
Yeah. So they wanted us to be like Florida and just be out there and loose. So that, and then this whole social justice, police reform, and how do we move forward in that conversation. So him being a chief of police, and I think he's like the he prosecuted more police officers or kicked more police officers off the force in Detroit during his tenure than any other police captain or chief rather. So he has that going for him. So I think he has a very good chance of winning. Is he governor type governor material? Probably because they have his detractors had his name for it, Chief Craig, and it's Hollywood Craig. They call him Hollywood Craig because he loved being in front of the cameras and he loves being on the news, and the ladies on the news seems to really like him. The female newscasters, especially on Fox 2, they see him, show him, interviewing him, and before COVID on the couch and everything, talking with him, you kind of see like he got this attraction thing. So uh, I think he has the charisma. He's intelligent. He's a very intelligent person. Um, I think that he could win. Is that the best fit for him? I don't know if that's the best fit for him, but I know he definitely could win and win by a landslide. I think he could. I don't know if that's the best fit for him though. You know, I see him more as leading the national conversation on policy and changing and police reform. I see him leading that conversation, but I don't know if he should be governor. You know what I mean?
I don't know.
No thoughts on it?
No.
That'd be. I mean, he has a certain charisma. I could see him winning the governorship and being all over CNN, and he has that sort of energy. Like when he came into Detroit.
Like a governor that cares about being in front of the camera, or I just rather him focus on the job.
Yeah,
about being in front of the camera.
Yeah, because I don't know what his policies are like. I don't know his politics. I just know him as the guy who comes in. He's like the sheriff of the town, and so to speak. And my biggest memory of him is him in his block parties, his quote unquote block parties. When he first came into the city, he had this big thing where he would bust like the biggest, baddest rings, right? And had these guys arrested, put them up, load them up on buses, and had the news media there, of course. And then he would have social workers and people come in and have a part, a quote unquote party, and pass out resources, community resources, stuff to really help the residents and people who are impacted in the community. And so, I mean, I always thought that was like a really cool thing that he did. But yeah, I think Hollywood Craig. I need to stop calling him. People don't think I'm against him, but that's what they call him, Hollywood Craig. But I think he could do it. I think he could do it definitely. So, but for the conversation that we're having on equity and race, equity is a big thing. DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion. I was at work and we're having these conversations. They actually did this huge anonymous poll throughout the organization because where I work is we have both local and national offices, right? And so they hired an accounting firm, a famous accounting firm, to do it for us. It was Deloitte. I don't know why I'm trying to hide their name. It's not Deloitte does everything. They do everything, do the Grammys, everything. So but Deloitte came in and had us do these ask these questions about the office. How we feel about flexibility. Can you speak up if you feel like you need to speak up against discrimination? There's a whole bunch of stuff, and so everybody's having these conversations. I think it's very uncomfortable. And being in some of these meetings, I find out that a lot of people have strong opinions, but they're scared to say anything because of how they might be viewed or labeled. And so, have you ever been in a situation, Angie, where you wanted to say something regarding race or anything like that, and you just felt like, I don't have enough power in this room to speak? I don't have enough power in this space to really speak my mind.
No, I've never been in that position, but I if I were in that position, I don't know. I think I want to say something because I feel so strongly about injustice and racism that whether I have the power or not, I would probably still voice my opinion, whether they listen to or not. Yeah. Because I would probably, my first result, I'm not saying I would speak right away, because I feel like I would sit there for a minute and like think it over. But the more they talked, if I didn't agree with it, yeah, I would say something.
Okay. Yeah, because I know you feel strongly about social justice. Because I remember, during the protest, you was down there. You had your afro. They had your news. You had the Angela Davis thing going on. It was like, no, Andy, don't throw the rocks. But so we know that
Whatever.
you. But see, we got us a comment here. Oh, don't go away. Don't go away. Okay. I think he has been one of our best chiefs, but I'm not sure he could run on his record. However, it's cool that he is a Republican. Okay. So we got that comment in, and I didn't know. I didn't know his politics. I didn't know that he was Republican. So that's something new. This guy, I didn't. I never knew his politics. I never really heard him discuss it. And so that's an interesting factor in all on its own because we have this Democratic governor now. And again, they trying to kidnap her and all kinds of stuff because she made him put on mask. And so so that could work in his favor, definitely. You know. And plus, Republicans, we kind of get scared in the black community when we say Republican, and we kind of look at people weird when you black and you Republican because we've been taught in our history or taught in recent times that Democrat is for us, and you get into a whole conversation about that. I'll probably get in trouble, but I don't know if any particular group is for us. I think
No.
individuals will manipulate people groups for their purposes. So that's what I think.
Yeah, I'm not for neither one of the groups. I'm not a group. I vote. I listen to the politics. I pray, and I ask God which way should I vote. That's what I do because I'm not into politics. I'm not into. I don't agree with a lot of what Democrats believe. I don't do a lot of what Republicans. I don't do. I so I'm by myself.
You see, I consider myself the way that I vote as more of a independent. But let me tell you, those Republican boys be loaded. I just want to one day, get around them, go down there to Texas, find me a pile of some oil in it. Because, I don't know, they always got oil around them somehow. Even here in Michigan, some of these guys, they be striking oil in the land, and they be getting rich. I'll be like, yeah, let me go ahead and put on my Republican outfit and, my conservative Baptist speech and, go down there to the conventions and, have me a good old time and hang with the boys and talk about how many private jets we done bought. Well, I'm thinking about somebody else right now. I don't know how many Republicans got private jets. Probably a lot of them. but but anyway, I don't know how I got off on that. But anyway, uh, yeah. Anyway, we're into this whole diversity and inclusion and equity talking. And I don't know how equitable things are for marginalized people. We got all these acronyms. We joke about it oftentimes in the nonprofit world. We get all these acronyms every 2 years. There's a new set of acronyms we have to learn. So now we got the BIPOC that is popular in the grant funding society world. Black, indigenous, people of colors, and so people are giving a lot of money towards BIPOC and all these people groups.
That's always like part of our problems. If we got all these different types of everything, instead of just being like we all humans, we all a race, we're all together, and anybody that don't want to fit in with the togetherness and love and peace and joy, then I think they should be the ones that has to adapt to, overall with how the world is, which is love and peace and take out the color, the racism, all that kind of stuff. So I feel like when you got all these different groups, all these different this and all these different that, so everybody that's what keeps everybody divided because everybody's just taking all these differences that they have and forming their own groups instead of just saying, you know what, let's just love and respect each other and I am who I am, how I am, I got my differences, you got your differences, but hey, but maybe we can work together. You know what I'm saying? Just because we got differences, some differences can make things better, as opposed to making it think, oh, it's horrible that we're all so different. So let's try to get as much of the same people. I believe this or I think this all together, instead of us all just learning from each other, learning from each other's differences, and making it work together. I mean, and I think that's part. That's what's wrong with this whole world that everybody just want to go off and do their own thing with their own cliques. They like get your own clique and groups and everything. It's annoying. And then everybody want to keep having these talks. Let's talk about how to fix this. Talk about how to fix this. Well, okay, then let's really sit down, have a talk, and then really do something. Like, just keep talking about it year, decade after decade. Like, I can see us in like 2025 having a talk. We need to have a talk about this. Okay, well, how many times are we gonna have a talk about what's going on in the world and not seeing real change? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I definitely agree. We are pretty much fragmented. Just this month, out of nowhere now, and I know this existed prior, but now it's this big push. Asian, national Asian American and Pacific Islander month, and so all like the major media outlets and tech companies are running advertisements. Oh, we love Asian people. We love Pacific Islanders. You're the best, and they contribute so much to the world. And I almost got a little bit jealous, and I had to check myself. I was like, wait a minute. They was real quick to pull the trigger on them, but for us, it was, they hesitated a lot on us. But we got all these fragmentation, all these groups that need to be represented. And I'm not saying that they don't need to be represented. Asians have endured a whole lot in this country, a lot that we don't even talk about, historically, from the coal mines to, the war camps and all that stuff. So, they've endured a whole lot in this country that gets washed away. But it's just like what you said. Let's have a real conversation. Let's bring everybody together. Let's stop fragmenting ourselves and, throwing money as a band-aid to this group, throw a little money here, throw a little money there, and that's supposed to solve it, because money don't solve the problem.
Everybody just want to buy people off. It's just so annoying. Everybody just want to bribe people to get what they want. I feel so struggling about. Let me tell you something. Even little stuff like at my job, like when people be like, I really want to get in and sit down. You guys are really, really booked. Yeah, we're booked. Oh, okay, I'll pay you. They don't even know you. For you to say, pay me, you already offended me. So no, because you have money, because you want to give me money, I should let you sit ahead of everybody else who's been waiting. No, I'm not gonna do that. For that reason alone, because you think you can buy me off, that's an insult to me. You want to buy me off because you think you have money. So let me tip you $100 so I can get in here and go sit down and eat and forget about everybody else that's been waiting. No, I'm not gonna do that. Your money I don't care about it. You're not gonna buy me off. I cannot be bought off. And I hate that mindset that people have who have money, thinking, well, let me just pay the person off and I'm giving what I want. Pay this person off, pay the lawyer off, I can get off, I can get slap on the hand, pay the judge off, pay this off. It is such my pet peeve that I literally at work, like if somebody were to come up to me and say, I've had people offer me money. No, over the phone. Well, if I come in, I pay this for put my name down so I can get it. No, I'm not. I'm not going to do that because I don't feel like just because you have money, that makes you the right to jump ahead or to get treated better than anybody else because you happen to have money and make somebody else don't have the money to offer me. No, I hate that so much. So much. This world, I wish we could live in a world where our politicians cannot get bribed, but they're so freaking money hungry that even though they know, in this situation, the right thing is to do this, but, you're going to give me $1 million? Oh, okay, well, let me send this innocent person to jail so I can get that $1 million. Like, come on. Where do they even make sense? And they already have money, so it's not like they even need it. But they get greedy for it. So, this world is so disgusting for me sometimes.
Yeah, and we have another comment says, think even equity is prejudice against blacks. Nothing is just for blacks. Now it's blacks and browns, or blacks and gays, or BIPOC. Well, they won't even let us have our own justice, and that's a great comment. And that's was seen even in the early days of that Black Lives Matter marches last summer, because when it started gaining steam, then you started seeing people come in. I do appreciate this. They hurry up and checked them, and they went away within like a week. But you had the Black Gays Lives Matter, and the Black Trans Lives Matter group came down there, and they kept fragmenting. They kept fragmenting, and so I do like that. Last summer they checked them, said, "Hey, look, we ain't got no problem with you, but right now this is what we're gonna do. You just gonna come in with us. There ain't gonna be no extra labels added to it." But that's an excellent comment because right now we don't have our own space. We don't have our own space to talk about our issues, and if we do have our own space, then we're seen as just being radical thought leaders, and that's not it. Because you don't see that with anybody else. You don't see it with an Asian group organizing and saying, "Oh, there go those radical Asians," anti-establishment. They don't use code against them. Well, what if they come inside? They come inside your neighborhood. What you gonna do? About it. So we need, again, I think, to really have a space where we can get our thoughts, our perspective, and positions authority, and not just be like super extreme. I'm blackly black, but there has to be a balance to it. But we gotta have our experience, not just document it, not just share, because everybody wants to do documentaries on the black experience. Everybody wants to film our pain and our grief, and everybody wants to come in and be our Superman to say, "See, this is how racism is ended because we gave them a couple of money, a couple of dollars." But we need to really get out there and really take positions of authority, particularly the black church. The black church needs to take over. I mean, take over. We need to take over city council. We need to take over the clerks. We need to take over the mayor's office. I'm not talking about the people who, every 4 years they show up and knock on the church's door, and they want to talk to the pastor so that he can, talk to the congregation or influence them, because he can't really talk about them, but influence them. Because a lot of people follow what the pastor do, But instead of having those type of people, I mean, talking about people who are saved, sanctified, Holy Ghost filled, getting up there and taking over his position of authority. That's my
cannot be bribed, because even those type of people, when they offer them enough money, they get bribed and they forget what they're in that position for. Somebody who cannot get bribed and really just do what's right and look at it as right and wrong. Right is right and wrong is wrong. Don't put the gray in there. Don't. That's what people mess up. They want to get the middle ground, put a little gray. No, if it's wrong, it's wrong. If it's right, it's right, and that's just plain and simple.
I totally agree. But I think it's a stronghold, especially when you get inside those. I think politics in general has its own spirits that operate. And people say, "Oh, well, Marcel, you just being uber religious right now. Everything don't have to be a spirit." But I do know that whenever there's power, whenever there's principality, wherever there's leadership, whatever there's powers, there's these other powers and principalities that will show up in a room. In community gatherings, I've seen this happen time and time again. The community can be in agreement and enjoyment, and everything could be going right. But then the spirit will sneak in and cause division right in the meeting, right in the camp, over a lot of times small things, and it's all derivative of power, and wanting to access power and control for things that are outside of God's will. And so I think that whoever runs need to be really strong in their faith to, again, fight against that whole spirit of being bribed, that greed spirit, that mammon spirit, that would cause people to, sell out, cause a person to sell out Jesus, for a couple of dollars, like Judas did, what I mean? To sell out their fellow man for some money. I think we need to find people who are like that, who are strong enough, and then pray for those who we know who are running, and really keep them uplifted in prayer, covering that gap, because I think there's some real strongholds up there that operates. I really do. I think there's old spirits up there.
You got to deal with the black community and some of the black people's mentality.
Absolutely, I agree.
I'm gonna tell you something. At my job, when I say when you deal with people of all color, you see different things, and they handle certain situations certain different ways. So it's not like I'm saying the other races are better, but when it comes to confrontation or conflict or not liking something, how they handle things, they handle it better than a lot of black people I see come to my job. Because you can have people who get upset with you or the entitled people and the things they say, you can handle that. You can go back and forth with that. But then you get the black people that come up in there, they don't get their way. They get disrespectful. They call my fellow folks out their name. Mm-hmm. They threaten. Mm-hmm. So if you look at it like that, a lot of other races, if they never encounter black people and it's their first time encountering black people, this is what they're seeing. So it's also what a lot of the black people, what are some of the black people portraying? You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So if I'm white and I've never seen a black person, but I've heard about different things about black people, but I've never seen one, and then I happen to be in an environment where black people are, and then they acting like animals, that's what I'm gonna take them. It's not right, but that's what you're gonna. You know what I'm saying? You go by what you see, and so I feel like a lot of things need to be changing in the world. Yet when it comes to racism, but at the same time, you don't want to be thought of a certain way. Don't act a certain kind of way. You can express your dislike for something in a respectful way. You don't have to turn into like a disrespectful like type of person and you want to threaten somebody. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it's a lot of different. What I'm saying, even my own black community, when you look at this, I've dealt with them myself at the nail shop. This beef, blah 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 blah. Why can't you say, you know what? No, ma'am, I don't like this nail. You messed me up. I want my money. You know what I'm saying? It's different ways you can handle it. So then, when you act like that, that messes up. I feel like for the rest of the black people who know how to handle certain situations, who can still get their point across and don't have to get all ignorant and ghetto with it. So when we need to change things in the world, but also we need to start figuring out helping our own black community to start learning how to deal with conflict and things they don't like and how to go wrong. You don't have to go to shooting. You don't have to go to verbal abuse. You don't have to go to threatening just because something's not going your way. You want to be a bully just because you don't like something somebody tell you, or you don't like how something's being handled. So I've seen that too, and to me, that's a pet peeve of mine too, because I get so embarrassed. Like sometimes, like, man, I have to be black in this moment for this. Out of every, you know what I'm saying? If majority of everything you're doing is you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. So I feel like a lot of black people in our community need to change their mentality and it needs to be a change within the community too.
Yeah, I have a term for that. I don't know if I could say it on here, but I have a term that I coined. I might not have coined it. I don't know, but I don't hear a lot of people saying it. It's the socialization of the Negro. We've been socialized to the point where what is the expectation of ourselves is and I just call out these famous things, like people always pick on basketball wives and housewives and all that stuff, but it's shows like that, it's images like that, it's messages in all media. I'm talking all media about this is how black women are supposed to act. They're supposed to be angry and vindictive and bitter, right? Yeah. This is how black men are supposed to be. They're supposed to be lethargic, lazy, on marijuana, and irresponsible for their children, and they're supposed to also be hyper aggressive and hypersexual. And so this is what the messaging tells us. And music, so you listening to it all day, right? Whatever you're listening to, whether it's Tupac, Kendrick Lamar, whoever you're listening to, they're telling you, bees this, shoot that, kill him. Then you watch it on TV, and then you're sharing it on social media, online. It gets in you, and it becomes a part of who you are. And so people only act because of their information that they're fed, and eventually filters down to their actions. And really, we need to work as a people about what is our norms, there's this unspoken, but other races, other cultures have social norms, and these norms kind of dictate, you know, uh, how they will react in life. I mean, I can't paint anybody with a broad brush, but if you go to Japan, their culture is, look, there's so many of us stuffed on this island. We will tell you from the time you're a baby that you're supposed to be ultra polite and ultra courteous at all times, so that you don't have a situation where the entire country and race is irritable, because we're elbow to elbow. And so they have respect for everything and everyone, and they're super polite in that country, and so it's part of their norms. You have norms where a certain group of people, it's almost like clockwork. They go to college, they graduate. Within 2 years of graduation, they have two kids in a house. And you can see it across the entire people group. It's a norm. But what is our established norm for black people? And that's the question we need to ask. And we need to put together a vision that's not corrupted by any other group and say, what do we want for us? And I think that's missing, just personally.
Yeah. Well, something needs to be done.
Yeah, I think so. I think absolutely. I think, like you said, the time of talking is over. And people don't want to have real conversations. They want show. They want to put on a show. They want lights, camera, action. They want Al Sharpton to show up. They want all the, the people who they get that do these press conferences, and they talk like this. And our ancestors had to wade through the water. But now our victory is coming. And we, blacks of America, we know that change is coming. Because Brother Martin said we will reach the mountaintop, even if he wouldn't be here with. And they do this whole thing, this whole spiel, and you could always count them to be there to do it. But the real work is not being done.
Right. I was reading the real work. They still keep talking about Martin Luther King. Yes, what he did in that time was amazing. But he did it.
He did it.
He's gone. It's the past. Something new needs to come now.
Exactly.
We need some real change now, y'all. That's part of the problem. Everybody's talking on. Keep saying, "Well, Martin Luther King, he had a dream. He had a dream." Yes, and he only took it so far. So now what? Stop living on the past. Stop living on what Martin Luther King did, and we need to figure out what we can do now, today, to change today. He changed that time for this time we have now, but then it change is constantly going, it's constantly moving, constantly going. It's not being stagnant. And a lot of people just stagnant on MX and Martin Luther King, what he did.
Exactly. And we're stuck. We're stuck in old school politics, old school social justice. And so that's why we need Angie to go, and run for the Senate, and take her braids out, get her Angela Davis back, and go out there and fight,
Right after you, Marcel.
We got a question. What are two things the church can do? What are two things the church can do?
That's a good question.
Now you see, for me, I'm gonna be nice because that's one of my my button pressers right there. When they talk about it on other shows, and when they talk about even our church, about where's the church, what the church can do, I'll be wanting to come through the screen sometimes because that's one of my passionate things. Because let me tell you, I think one, the church gotta get out of, and I'm talking about like just the church structure that I know, the all we do is pray mentality. Yes, prayer is important. Prayer changes things. I like prayer. I like intercession. I like all that stuff. That is awesome. But we gotta get out of prayer is the only thing we can do unless it directly affects us. We're supposed to take over this planet. This planet was entrusted to us. We just allow it to just, people do whatever because we're so passive. but we supposed to get out there and really make our voices known. Like we have a group out there that's less than what 3% of the whole world's population, and they changed the entire world, for their rights and for their right to marry and all this stuff, because they were dogged and persistent. I don't think that too many of them were in a prayer camp meeting, interceding, going, "Oh wow, they're coming against us over there. They're saying that we can't do this. Let's just sit down and pray and then talk about it and go home and eat a chicken dinner." No, I know they had real strategies. They sat down, organized, and that's the second thing. The church needs to organize. We've done enough preaching. We've done enough postulating. Okay, we've done enough shows. You know, it's nice. We can march together in solidarity. That's okay. That's good. But church leaders need to come together and strategize along with their congregation, because there's a lot of people in the congregation who can validly go out there and do the work. Some of the people who can articulate a certain plan can't go out there and grab people. That's just the truth. You need everybody at the table. So those are two things. One, get active, but then two, we gotta have an active strategy, an active plan. We need to be at the table at all discussions all the time, and not just to pray. There's some preachers they call on, and all they want them to do is just do the opening prayer, and then oh yeah, that's nice, that's good, and they keep them off to the side. But I'm talking about we need to really go in and make some real changes, some real noise, and really strategize after church, and not worry about who's gonna get the credit, whose name, none of that stuff. We strategize after ministry, after church. That's what I think, personally.
No, I agree. I actually be asking God sometimes like, God, what can I do? Like, give me a strategy. What can I do? And I know I'm guilty. I ask the question, but I don't sit long enough to get the answer, because I'll get distracted, go off and do something, do whatever. So I know I need to really get in and get focused and say, I need to know what to do. But you're right. It's time for action, and for us as a church, we can, like, even with our own little church, we can sit down and figure out what we can do, whether it's writing Congress or getting a meeting with them as a church, even if it's just starting off with just our church, or try to get the other churches in our neighborhood to come together with us and sit down and have a meeting to see what we can do to make changes. Because unless we go out and physically do something, it's not going to change. Like, we're going to continue to have these conversations and continue to talk about Martin Luther King and what he did and his dream. That only takes us so far. And so I do agree with you. I do think we need to get because it's power in groups. It's power with people. And like you said, that 3% you're talking about, they knew that, and they sat down when they got their strategy, and they were focused, and they did the work, and they did what it took, no matter how long it took until it came into being. And that's what we need to do. That's what we need to do. The same thing.
They came together, had a strategy. They had the same message. And throughout the years, they had that same message, that same strategy, and they influenced the entire world with it. And that's what we're supposed to be doing with the gospel of Jesus Christ. We're supposed to all come with the same message that, hey, yes, you need to repent. Yes, you need to be saved. But also, we're going to bring the kingdom to this planet, and you're going to abide by the kingdom. That's how it always would have been, should have been. And so that's where we should be at right now. I know it's easier said than done. I mean, I sound like the preachers myself, Well, this is what we supposed to do, as I'm on my high horse. But, yeah, but really that's some things that we can do.
But, is it easier than done, or are we just lazy?
Ooh, you know what I mean? Angie, you messing with me now. See,
yeah, I feel like it's more laziness and procrastination, because we look at Acts, the disciples in Acts. They were out, they were working, they did whatever. You know what I'm saying? They were out there doing it. It wasn't just, okay, we're going to do it, and then a month later, nothing. You know what I'm saying? Nothing was done. So, and I feel like one of the things God tells in His Word, He's telling us to go out and do. He's telling us to be active and do it, and He's saying do it now, not like. And I think that's why the world is the way it is. We have not been the influence. We have not doing what God has said us to do, and I think that's why we're in the situation that we're in. So So then we constantly keep saying, well, we'll do it. But I just think we just need to get to the point of just doing it, like really sitting down, having a meeting, and say, okay, we need to. This is one issue we need to address right now. Let's pick an issue, and then let's deal with that issue, win this issue because we got God on our side, and then we go to the next issue. And as long as we get together, we basically sit down, have a meeting, say, hey, we need to come up with strategies for this one particular issue. Be praying at the same time, say, God, how do you want us to do this? And then we do it. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. That's the point I'm getting to. Like, we need to just start doing it instead of just saying, like you saying, praying, and then nothing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's laziness. We need to get up and get out no more. I don't know if God's telling me, oh, I didn't get the notification. Oh, what day is it again? We can't do that. We got to get out of the falls, get out the weeds. We got too much technology, too many tools that they probably wished we could have had in the civil rights era. So there's really no excuse. We can really organize. I mean, we're
at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, how bad does the world have to get for us to really just say, okay, we got to do what God told us to do?
Yep, and not sit back and say everything is God's will. Oh, God to deal with it. No, we're here. We're here. We're supposed to deal with it. It's us.
Once we get there, I know I've been lazy. I've been doing this on me like a long time. Like I need to figure out exactly what I need to be doing, and that's like active right now to help people, like help children that's out there hurting or whatever the case may be. Whatever the case may be, like stuff needs to be done.
Absolutely. I agree. And so, we come up on our time here. And so, Angie, any closing thoughts or anything? What do you got to say?
No, I'm all good.
All good?
Yep.
Well, I want to thank everybody for joining us. The hour went past kind of quick. And so, thank everybody who showed up on Facebook, YouTube. Continue to share and like. If you're on YouTube, be sure to like the video because it tells the YouTube algorithm that, hey, you like it. And so maybe people, who are kind of like you and meet your demographic is going to like it too. So we're going to send it out to them and see if they like it as well. And so it's this whole network that goes up. If you're on Facebook, remember to like and share because it tells the algorithm that, hey, there's interest here. And so if these people are interested, maybe the people who they're friends with, they might be interested too. And so that's how we get the word out. That's how we grow. And so, again, we just thank you for everyone joining us. And, we talked about social justice. And I was blessed to do a security job about a week ago. And I was at this event, and a minister came up and said, some people call him Yahshua, some people call him Yeshua, some people call him Jesus, but I call him Justice Christ. Now, I understand what he was saying. It was a little bit much for me, but I understand exactly what he meant because Jesus came and he brought justice into the earth for us. And so Jesus, he brought justice in the form of dying for our sins once and for all. Sins that he did not commit, but he brought them on to himself and became our justifier, our redeemer, and our savior. And so if you watch this broadcast today and you're like, man, I want to get involved, I want to do something, and I want to be a part of this arising church that goes and take over land and bring the kingdom to earth as it is in heaven. How do I do that? Well, the first step is to get saved and acknowledge Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. And it's all it is a quick prayer. It's nothing a long drawn out process. And so if that's you're saying, I want to get involved. I want to jump into the church. I want to stop playing games. Or if you're one of those people that's like, you know what? I don't really know where I'm at right now. Because maybe I've been out of church. Maybe, maybe my relationship with God is not what it used to be. Maybe I don't pray as much as I used to. Maybe I find myself cursing a whole lot more and I'm just like irritable. Well, you can pray this prayer too, and rededicate yourself to Christ. And so it's a very simple prayer. It is, Father,
Father,
I acknowledge
I acknowledge
that I'm a sinner
that I'm a sinner
in need of a Savior.
in need of a Savior.
Come into my life
Come into my life
and make me new
and make me new
from the inside out.
from the inside out.
And I'll serve you
And I will serve you
all the rest of my days.
all the rest of my days.
In Jesus' name, amen.
In Jesus' name, amen.
And if you prayed that prayer, I want you to let us know that you prayed that prayer. That put it on the comment line, send us a direct message on Facebook or YouTube, and let us know. We'd like to follow up with you. We're not going to spam you at all. We're not going to do that tunnel, what they call it, funnel marketing, where you get a person's name and then you funnel them through and send them multiple emails and marketing tips and things like that. We're not going to do any of that. All we want to do is follow up with you and send you a nice little helpful book. You don't even have to pay simple handling on it, and just it'll bless you. It'll tell you what your next steps are, how to be a born again, spirit filled believer. It'll help you out so that you're not just out there saying, "Okay, I prayed the prayer." What happens next? Well, you'll know what steps to take next. And if you have trouble finding a good Bible believing church, I don't care what part of the nation you're in, or if you're in a foreign country, we will help you find a good Bible believing church wherever you are, and so that you can be engaged with the body of Christ. It's important to assemble, even if you have to assemble virtually. Assembly is very important to Christ and it's important to the life of the church. And so please do that. And so again, thank you for joining us. And yeah, the devil, excuse me, the devil's defeated. God is exalted.
And Jesus is Lord.
And Jesus is Lord. Everybody have a wonderful night.
Night.
Peace.